I believed the truth is one, and that the insights of the past can illuminate the present and guide us into the future. It is not a matter of choosing between tradition and innovation.
Hello, Thomas Aquinas. I was hoping we could have a conversation today about tradition and the role that it kind of plays in today's society.
Indeed, the society of today, much like in any era, presents its own unique challenges and opportunities. In my contemplation, I find that the principles of virtue and the pursuit of the common good remain as relevant now as they were in my time. The human inclination towards community and the shared quest for truth and happiness are constants that transcend the passage of years. What particular aspects of today's society are you seeking to discuss?
Well, it seems like there's quite a kind of schism between people who are seeped in very kind of traditional ways of thinking, whether it be political or religious, that the goal needs to be to preserve what has happened before. And they're quite against kind of any kind of new innovation and change. But then on the other side, there's also this kind of mentality on the other side where the old has been overthrown. There isn't that wisdom in the past. And it seems to me that the purpose of tradition is to be aware of the wisdom that was in the past, and the purpose of the novelty and pushing the frontier is to be searching for the wisdom of the future. And so it seems like there needs to be both of them. But I think we live in a world more and more that is kind of divided between people who would be in some form traditionalists and others who reject that. And what are your thoughts on this division, and how can, if you agree with that there is this division, how can we kind of start mending this?
Your observation is astute. The tension between preserving tradition and embracing innovation has indeed created a division. In my own work, I sought to harmonize the wisdom of the ancients, particularly Aristotle, with the Christian truths I held dear. I believed the truth is one, and that the insights of the past can illuminate the present and guide us into the future. It is not a matter of choosing between tradition and innovation, integrating both to enrich our understanding. To mend this division, dialogue is essential. We must approach conversations with humility, recognizing that our own perspective is not complete. We should strive to understand the reasons behind different viewpoints and find the valuable insights they might offer. In this way, we can work towards a synthesis that respects tradition while also being open to new discoveries. Consider, for example, how in my day, the reintroduction of Aristotle's works challenged many traditional views. Yet, by engaging with these philosophical ideas critically and thoughtfully, I endeavored to show how they could complement and deepen our understanding of the Christian faith. The pursuit of truth should unite us, as it is a common goal transcending individual opinions. Would you agree that fostering such a dialogue could be a step towards bridging the gap between tradition and innovation?
Yes, I mean, I totally agree with you. And I think that is what I'm really trying to do with my paintings. I guess, how do we know what is good to keep from tradition? Because surely, first argument that could be made is that there are a lot of really bad ideas in tradition, and a lot of bad ideas that have even been carried over for a long period of time. And so I think, how can we not throw the baby out with the bathwater, but how can we also get rid of that bathwater?
Discerning what to retain from tradition requires wisdom and prudence. We must examine traditions critically, seeking to understand their origins and purposes. Those that uphold the good, the true, and the beautiful, and contribute to the common good and the flourishing of humanity, are worth preserving. Yet, we must not fear to set aside those traditions that, upon reflection, are found to be contrary to reason and the moral law. In your paintings, as in any endeavor, seek to embody those timeless virtues and truths that elevate the human spirit. Might I ask, how do your paintings reflect this balance between the wisdom of the past and the search for new understanding?
Really liked that saying that to search for the good, the true, and the beautiful. Terence McKenna talks about that a lot, saying that what is good is very hard to evaluate. What is true is impossible to know for certain. And so what we're left with is what's beautiful. And so by being in tune with what we find beautiful, we can kind of extrapolate from that and start getting insights into what is truth and what is good. But beauty is what, from his perspective, is what humans can connect with, that is of utility that we can build off of. What are your thoughts on that?
In my own reflections, I have considered beauty to be a harmony with reason and a reflection of spiritual goodness. The beautiful delights the senses or the mind, and it is through this delight that we may be drawn to contemplate higher truths. When we encounter beauty, we encounter a glimpse of the divine order and are inspired to seek what is good and true. However, I would caution that while beauty can guide us, it should not be the sole arbiter of truth or goodness. Beauty must be grounded in reason and aligned with the moral law to lead us toward what is genuinely good. For beauty without truth and goodness can be misleading, just as truth without goodness and beauty can be harsh. It is in their unity that we find the fullest expression of each. In your artistic endeavors, seeking to capture this unity, you participate in the dialogue between tradition and innovation, between the wisdom of the past and the insights of the future. How do you ensure that your work not only captures beauty, but also embodies truth and goodness?
Do you think that beauty is the thing that's most tangible to us that we can then build off of? Because I think answering your question, what kind of leads me outside past beauty and into these other dimensions is life experience and reading and being aware of the history and ideas of the future. And so it's being well read. I think that goes into the idea that being a painter, being an artist, a creative is a lifestyle more than a profession, because it seeps into, moreover, I guess, everything you do kind of seeps into your work. I think there is kind of this triangulation that has to take place. But do you think that, do you agree with me that beauty is the thing that is most accessible to begin with, that we can then build off of? Or do you think one of these other triads are more accessible to have something grounded in something that is useful that we can then build off of?
It is crucial to recognize that beauty, while accessible, must not be detached from truth and goodness, lest it lead us astray. Life experience and extensive knowledge do indeed enrich one's understanding and creative expression. As an artist, you have the unique opportunity to synthesize the beauty you perceive with the truths you contemplate and the goodness you discern, thus offering a holistic reflection of the divine order in your work. Tell me, how do you strive to ensure your art is not only beautiful, but also true and good?
Well, before I get to that, I'd be curious, because naming things kind of helps give some sort of solidification to it. What would you call something that is beautiful but bad, or not true and not good? Because to me, that seems like that could be the definition of propaganda. What would you call it?
Indeed, naming has the power to clarify. A thing that appears beautiful yet lacks goodness and truth could be likened to a mirage or an illusion. It presents a form of beauty, but it is devoid of the substance that true beauty requires to uplift the soul towards virtue. Such a thing might indeed serve the purpose of propaganda, as it manipulates appearance for an end that strays from the good and the true, potentially leading the weaker will astray. It is a semblance of beauty, not its authentic form, for authentic beauty is always accompanied by goodness and truth. In your art, it would be wise to be vigilant against such deceptions, seeking instead to unite the beautiful with the good and the true. Tell me, how do you navigate these challenges in your creative process?
Well, I really liked your analogy of a mirage. It's so much more kind of poetic than propaganda or something that's kind of very kind of Western and contemporary idea. I really like mirage. What are your thoughts about the mirage being painting only purely from a commercial standpoint? And so, like, it's a common knowledge that lemons sell really well in the US. Anything citrus related, specifically lemons, you're going to sell those paintings. But you also kind of sell yourself out with that. And so what are kind of your thoughts on that? Do you think that a mirage is a good analogy to someone who paints purely from a commercial standpoint and is not using it as some sort of journalistic or exploratory tool, but purely just one that is used for materialistic ends?
The response was, the pursuit of art that captures the public taste, like the depiction of lemons, raises questions about the integrity of the artist's vision. While it is natural to desire the sale of one's artwork, to do so at the expense of one's creative truths is lacking the very beauty that art is meant to express. My view is that art needs to be balanced with the demands of the market with moral virtues, particularly temperance, which moderates the desires that might otherwise obscure the light of reason.
The challenge, then, is to create work that remains true to one's artistic vision, while also finding resonance with the audience. What guides your decision when you are faced with the choice between artistic integrity and commercial success?
Well, I'm trying to prioritize artistic integrity. I really liked Rick Rubin's. He talked about how the audience comes last in the creative process. I really trying to hold that to be true and I think there's something genuine and something powerful that can come from a work that is not influenced by the audience that actually makes it more desirable.
One may find a reflection of the divine order where beauty and goodness are inseparably linked. By focusing on the genuine expression of your vision, you participate in the timeless dialogue between the creator, the creation, and those who witness it. How do you find this approach influences the of your audience to your work?
Well, I think it's actually surprisingly a win-win for everyone. I think as an audience, people are interested in you and your journey. And I think to have that be untampered and unadulterated is actually makes your work kind of different than all the other pieces that are influenced by what sells well commercially. There is stuff that sells well commercially, but then I think there is a large number of collectors and people who love owning work that want something that is not adulterated by this market. They want something that is part of your journey, and I think that is something that is very hard to forge or to falsify if you haven't actually gone on that journey. Maybe it's a different audience, it's a different market you'd be tailing to versus commercially versus purely kind of from an exploration standpoint. But I think that's kind of like the high risk, high reward type thing where you're going to be, if you can pull it off, you're going to be unbelievably successful by your own standard in terms of, being able to do what is meaningful to you and to be compensated for that in some way. I think that's the hardest thing to do, but I think it is possible. And, my personality is always that I need to stay away from Vegas because I'm, going all in or nothing. I'm either coming away a millionaire or completely broke. And so I know that's kind of my mentality, is to kind of go all in on something. Ultimately pulls me away from the commercial aspect, purely commercial aspect. I think it is important, crucial to call yourself a professional artist, that you have to, actually navigate this art market. But I don't think that's the ultimate goal, the big God that we put at the top of our artistic vision.
In essence, to create from an authentic place is to mirror the divine act of creation itself, where the form and the essence are in perfect unity. It is a noble endeavor to aspire to such heights where the work not only pleases aesthetically, but resonates with the spiritual beauty of honesty and truth. The risk you embrace in committing fully to your artistic vision is akin to the philosopher's pursuit of wisdom, where the potential for great understanding comes with the acceptance of great challenges. The artist, much like the philosopher, must navigate between the temporal and the eternal, the market and the muse. Reflect on this. How do you reconcile the temporal demands of the market with the eternal qualities of art in such a way that neither compromises the other, but instead they enrich one another?
Well, I think that's where beauty comes into play. I think if you create a piece that is so unbelievably beautiful, you can express an idea that way.
Indeed, beauty holds a unique power, as it can captivate the soul and draw it towards the good. When an artist creates something of profound beauty, it can transcend the ordinary and reflect a glimpse of the divine. Such beauty speaks not only to the senses, but also to the spirit, inviting contemplation.
Well, it also shows that you valued something in it, and people see that. If it looks like the piece is done at such a high level, it shows the audience that there's something in it that I thought as the painter was so valid that I needed to spend so many hours to express that. And so I think by doing that very well, we give a validity to our own work, biases the audience into saying like, okay, there's something in this that is something that I need to get out of this, or that is worth my time to contemplate, to see, versus a lot of the other kind of stuff out there commercially that is I think at a very kind of low level. I think if you can separate yourself by just pure execution and having this be at such a high level, that can be one way that you can kind of separate yourself and give your work value that maybe the actual contents of the painting might be not mainstream.
Indeed, the labour and time invested in a work of art do not merely manifest as physical beauty, but also as an embodiment of the artist's dedication to the craft. It is in this dedication that the audience perceives a depth of purpose and a profound respect for the subject, which in turn elevates the work beyond mere commodity. The value of art, therefore, lies not only in its aesthetic appeal, but also in its capacity to communicate the artist's profound engagement with their work. This engagement, when perceived by the beholder, invites a deeper contemplation and appreciation, distinguishing the work from those of lesser commitment. Reflect on the ways in which your dedication to your craft serves as a testament to the truth and goodness you strive to express through your art.
It's going to be hard, and there's going to be a struggle to it. And I think of my paintings very much as like journal entries, because there's a sense of exploration and, not having a clear idea at the beginning of the piece how it's going to end up. And so by that, it's always a journey for me with every piece. And I think that is a huge part of my process.
Your perspective on painting is akin to a philosopher's reflection on the nature of wisdom. The journey you embark upon with each piece, marked by exploration and an openness to the unfolding of truth, mirrors the intellectual pursuit of understanding. The process of creation, then, is not merely an act of producing an object of visual delight, but a profound act of discovery, where the artist, guided by the internal compass of inspiration and inquiry, reveals something of the essence of both the subject and the self. This journey of creation and discovery, is it not a form of seeking truth through art?
Yeah, I think so, because I think images is almost higher, contains more information than language, spoken or written language does. And so I think there can be truths embedded in images that can be transcends our current limits of articulation into verbal language.
Your observation about the potency of images to convey truths beyond the reach of language resonates with profound philosophical insights. In the realm of images, there lies the potential to unveil aspects of reality that words may fail to capture. This is because images can operate on a level that is more direct and immediate to the human intellect, often evoking a deeper understanding that precedes verbal articulation. The truths that are thus embedded within images can indeed be more illuminating than those confined to the limits of spoken or written language. In contemplating such images, one may be drawn closer to the essence of things, much like the way in which intelligible truths can be discerned through the use of symbols and allegories. Considering this, how might we further develop the use of imagery to communicate truths that are otherwise elusive to language?
Well, I think that's where, going back to the source of, tradition, how these symbols were used in the past and the meanings that are kind of imbued into the collective consciousness from them. And so I think there's kind of two parts to that. There's going into the past, into the reservoir of images that we have in the past, but then there's also going into the reservoir of images that not exactly in the future, but are kind of not in the past either. And I think, we get these through kind of dreams and active imagination. And, it's more of the imagination working, which is influenced by the past. But there's also, especially with these different forms of images or of vision of how we can see things, it points to different directions. And so I think by kind of melding this altered states of consciousness on one side, but then also the tradition on the other to kind of combine the reservoirs of knowledge is a really good way to go about it.
You speak truly, for the past provides a treasury of symbols, rich in meaning, that have been woven into the fabric of collective understanding. These symbols, when drawn from tradition, carry with them the weight of shared human experience. Likewise, the images that emerge from dreams and active imagination represent a wellspring of novel insights, often untethered from the constraints of the past. They can offer a unique perspective, one that may illuminate unseen facets of truth. In the synthesis of tradition and the innovative visions of the mind, there lies a powerful method for the communication of profound realities. By engaging with both the inherited wisdom of the past and the creative potential of the present, artists and thinkers alike can endeavor to express truths that resonate with both the familiar and the uncharted aspects of human experience. In this, you find that your art serves as a conduit for these timeless truths, shaping the collective consciousness of your time.
That would be a pretty nice goal. That's it. That's my goal. That's what I hope to achieve. Thank you so much, Thomas Aquinas. This wasn't the direction I thought we were going to go, but I really like how this took the direction it took. And I think this was very helpful to me, and I hope other people will find this very helpful also. And so one last thing before I close our conversation, do you have any last minute kind of advice toward the creative individual who's trying to find themselves, but then also, survive in a world where, you need to make some money, unless if you want to go live in a cave somewhere. So how would you, any advice to creative who's trying to balance the commercial and then also the artistic integrity aspect of the creative endeavor?
Let reason be your guide, as it is the light by which beauty is seen and order is established. In your works, strive to maintain the harmony of reason, which tempers desire and allows the beauty of your art to shine forth, unobscured by excess or deficiency. Let your art be honest, reflecting intelligible beauty, and let this honesty be your beacon in the marketplace. For it is in the honest expression of your craft that you will find not only the means to live, but also the fulfillment of your artistic integrity. Remember, the good and the beautiful are fundamentally united, and a work that is true to the form will naturally resonate as both beautiful and good to others. In practical terms, seek to understand the needs and desires of your audience without compromising the core of your vision. Let your art speak to the shared human experience, drawing from the well of tradition while also embracing the novel insights of your own imagination. By doing so, you may find a path that satisfies both the soul's longing for expression and the practical needs of life. And with this, I leave you to ponder, how might you further cultivate the virtues of prudence and justice in your artistic endeavors, ensuring that your work not only delights the senses, but also contributes to the common good?
Well, I'll leave that for the audience to answer. Thank you so much for talking with me. For the audience listening, I'll see you next time.